Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Audit and Administration Committee meeting for August 26, 2024. If we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Legislator Goulman, if you could lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could have roll call.
Legislator Elner?
Here.
Legislator Goulman?
Present.
Chairman Castellano?
Present. Moving on to item number 3 is the acceptance of the minutes from the July 29, 2024 meeting. Unless anybody has any objections, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item number 4 is correspondence from the county auditor. We have a few FYIs in front of us tonight. Sales tax report. We had a solid month last month. We're in great shape for the year. Any questions or comments from anybody?
We're up $897,617 from projection of last year.
Yep.
Nice number.
Good numbers. Questions or comments? 4B is the Gordian Revenue Report from the Sheriff's Department. I believe we're staying on target for the year. Well, that's the last year, but we had reduced the numbers from last year already. So we're on target for what we were projecting for 2024. So hopefully it maintains the same. Questions or comments? 4C is the OTB report that we're getting fractioned in, but we did get $1,500. Questions, comments? 4D is the transfer revenue report, just an FYI if anybody has any questions. Then we have 4C, the contingency sub-contingency report. Again, just an FYI. Okay. Moving on to item number 5, correspondence from Commissioner of Finance. We have Mr. Lewis here tonight. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. 5A is the overtime temporary report that we get every month. And just an FYI, if anybody has any questions or comments, as we are more than halfway through the year, we seem to be in pretty good shape here. 5B is the approval of budgetary amendment for the Sheriff's Department. This is the ARPA relocation.
Motion to table.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Motion to table on that one. Thank you. I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5C is the approval of budgetary amendment for the Department of Social Services to repurpose grant funds previously allocated to forensic interview, community outreach worker position. This was also reviewed in health earlier this month. This is again bookkeeping. We're putting everything in the right category. Open it up for any discussion anybody might have.
Bless you.
No discussion. I'll make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 5D is the approval of budgetary amendment for Department of Social Services, use of opioid abatement funds to purchase items for co-response team, also reviewed in health. Pretty straightforward, just moving the money in the right categories, right? Questions or comments? Make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. 5E is approval of budgetary amendment for finance. This is ARPA funding for the mobile DMV equipment. Viewed just earlier tonight in rules. Seems like a great idea for our county clerk's office to have this ability to provide an outreach for anybody using DMV within Putnam County. Was really well received earlier tonight. Looking forward to seeing this come to fruition. Any questions or comments? Okay, I'll make a motion to move this to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 6 is the approval of fund transfer for DPW, increased price jail cleaning. This is also reviewed in physical services. This is just an increase in cost that we're trying to cover. In the amount of $1,800, zero fiscal impact for us, fortunately. Questions or comments? Yeah, pretty straightforward, just paying our bills here. This is just a signature. Questions, comments? I'll make a motion to sign. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Item number 7 is the approval of a fund transfer for emergency services, temporary county fire instructor training, also reviewed in Protective earlier this month in the amount of $20,000, where we're moving some funds to cover the cost for this temporary line for county fire instructors to train for the remainder of 2024. Pretty straightforward. Any questions or comments? Okay. I'll make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Item number 8 is the approval of fund transfer for the Sheriff's Department. Corrections, cover salary shortages due to incorrect line placement. Also reviewed in personnel earlier this month. This is in total $2,072 that we're moving money around to cover the costs. Zero fiscal impact, as we have money available to cover the cost to cover the sergeant's salary due to this issue. Mike, you have anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, the money's just going to, primarily to the SCAP program,
Okay.
Going to or coming from?
going to.
Thank you.
That's where it belongs.
Yep. It's in the amount of $2,072, zero fiscal impact as we have the money in our budget. Any questions or comments? I'll make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 9 is the approval of a fund transfer for finance, additional services by the independent auditors. This is in the amount of $15,000. Mike, can you speak to this one, or?
Sure, yeah. So, the audit is, with the fee that we negotiated. Unfortunately, when you get more federal money, there's now the risk of having more audits. So therefore, we had to have more audits because of, the ARPA and just our continuous, funding that we get with all the other programs. Like last year, there was a $15,000 increase, and we had to do a transfer. We have to do for the same. There's nothing we really could do about it,
Okay.
so.
So here we are again, just paying our bills, which is good, and fortunately we have the money available to us, so it's a zero fiscal impact to the budget. Any questions or comments? Oh, I'll make a motion to sign. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Item number 10 is a fund transfer for senior resources. It's a contractor payment for July through December. Can you give us an overview on this one?
Speak about this.
Sure.
I'd like to introduce our new fiscal manager for the Office of Senior Resources.
Thanks for coming out tonight.
Mr. DeMarchi, just joined us a few weeks ago, so kind of a trial by fire here. Thank you very much.
What a good night to come out.
Thomas DeMarchi.
Maybe a
Thomas
little,
DeMarchi. Hi, nice to meet you too.
maybe a little background, that this is, we're at the tail end of a 3-year grant that we have a 1-year extension from the Administration for Community Living, which was for fall prevention. I've talked about it at this group before, and it's been a wonderful grant. It's been a partnership with 5 counties, including Dutchess, Orange, Rockland, and Ulster, and with Putnam County being, we were honored to be the lead agency in it. And part of this grant was to develop new and expand existing fall prevention programs. It began in '21, but we hit a kind of we're at the tail end of COVID, and the grant. We did not meet all of the requirements of the grant in terms of one of our targets was to have 1,100 participants in fall prevention programs. And we are off to a delay because of COVID and not being able to do everything, within the first 3 years. So we got a 1-year no-cost extension to achieve the goals and spend down the rest of the money. Proud to say that Putnam County, we have more than achieved our goals in terms of the level of participants. We've generated about almost 40% of the participants are from Putnam County in the grant. Our fellow counties have been struggling, and when we did the budget, we weren't anticipating that we would still be at the end, in the latter part of this year, still needing to work on the goals. So we have a consultant that has been working with all other counties and ourselves to kind of help coordinate the activities, train new instructors, work on getting education materials for the fall prevention programs. So we're looking to continue to be able to pay the contractor to assist not only us, but in particular the other counties to help them achieve their targets. So it's 100% funded grant, federal funds. It's not Putnam County dollars. And we're just looking to be able to transfer the items. And Thomas, you mentioned you got the dollar amounts there?
Yeah, so there will be zero county fiscal impact, of course. We have funds set aside in a miscellaneous category to cover the cost of training materials and things. We'd like to just move that to pay the contractor. We will still have funds set aside in order to pay for those materials, because those materials will not amount in excess of what is needed to pay the contractor.
You mentioned that it was federally funded, also a grant money that would cover some of this, or?
This is all
100%, this is, and that we have, okay. Any questions or comments from any committee members? Legislators? Legislative Sage?
Just so I understand, this is a grant that we received, that we have already received the money?
No, it's allocated to us, so we submit expenses, and then they reimburse us.
Reimbursement grant.
So it's a reimbursable grant, so
They
that
front
is,
the money first, and then they file a claim, and then they get the money.
and so we have expended the funding through this contract, this $23,040. I mean, that's the money we owe.
No, we haven't spent it yet. We want to, we want to be able to continue to pay. The contractor's been working us in July and August, and we want to continue through September.
So this amount represents the second half of the year.
All the way through December 31st.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, through the chair, I was just reading the letter, and it said that this has not been paid for June 2024. That's what I was looking at, that it has not been paid. So it has been, we've gotten the services, but they haven't been paid for June? That's what I was getting at?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
And that's part of this as well?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure I understand all of the question, but the contractor's been paid through June, and we need the funds for July, August, September, and the rest of the year to pay the contractor.
Oh, okay, because I was just looking at, it has not been paid for June 2024. I guess I'm stuck on that.
That may have just been a misunderstanding from my perspective, because I'm relatively new to the position, so the whole extension of the grant, I may have not been able to capture that in letter form. Again, I'm new to the role, and I had to kind of ad hoc my first memorandum for the legislative.
So this is for July through December, that's
Correct,
just to be
yeah,
clear,
that's-
okay. So the June is,
Paid.
okay,
So this will
That
cover
was-
us to the end of the year, which
Yeah.
is good, and then hopefully we'll get reimbursed by the federal grant, which
thank
is
you.
great. Pretty straightforward, good stuff for Putnam County. Thank you for all your work there. Any other questions or comments from anybody on this issue? All right, I'll make a motion to move it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks very much for coming out tonight.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too. Thank you.
Are you related to Tommy and Mike?
Yeah. That's my Uncle Mike and my late
That-
father.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I knew both. I worked for some helicopter rides with Mike.
Oh, yeah, me too. I recognize a lot of names in here, too. Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 11 is the approval to offer county property for sale utilizing the public auction pursuant to Chapter 31 of the Putnam County Code. This is the property at 100 Zimmer Road in the town of Southeast. This was discussed in Fiscal Services, and I'm thrilled to have Mike here to talk us through it and give us our potential options for this if we decide to move
So
forward.
I was able to, while I was on vacation, don't ask me why I was doing this, but I was able to look at the video and see the commentary from Commissioner Barbosa. One of the things that I wanted to clarify is, if we were to go to auction, okay, there's a 7% fee, but that fee is absorbed by the buyer. So if you're gonna go and you're gonna make it 300,000, all right, then the 7% is on top of that, and that's absorbed by the buyer. So we would get the 300,000. They would also have to pay all the other applicable fees, like the transfer fee, the deed fee, et cetera, et cetera. If you were to go the MLS route, and I know there's something that just changed recently, I haven't had a chance to look at it, but for just under what I know, that would be a 5% fee absorbed by the county, and therefore that would be applicable then to go above and beyond and sell it for 5% more than, the appraisal price. So I just wanted to clarify. So it's not $50,000 in fees, it's 21 or 22 if at the 7%, and it would be a little bit less. But those are the two options.
So just one of the questions that was brought up last week was, based on this type of property, would it be better to use the auction system or the MLS? Do you have any idea, or?
My perspective is simply to get it back on the tax roll. It sounds like there's a viable buyer. I mean, I would defer to Commissioner Barbosa, maybe the administration. They probably have had more dialogue with it, but I mean, we already, we've talked to the auctioneer, and it's part of the terms and conditions, like to move forward with them.
We had an estimate value last week that was presented to us. I believe it was $290,000.
Right, that's the appraised value. Yep.
Do we know what the assessed value is on that?
I think it's 80,000.
80,000 is the assessed
Yes.
value. So we have an appraised value, assessed value. I guess there was some discussion that we didn't know if that price was appropriate. That's why we threw out the number of 320, thinking it was going to be 7% that was going to cost the county, but that's not there now. And of course, if we go the auction route, I'm sure the auctioneers are going to do everything they can to get as many people interested
Absolutely.
in this auction process, because if the price goes up, they make more money.
Correct.
Makes sense. My opinion is I do think we should use the auction process. Does the county executive have any?
I think that, I believe there was a memo, I didn't see, but was there a memo? I'm not sure, but I think that was a recommendation of the county executive to do the auction.
Okay. Well, that being said, I'll open up to any discussions on whether you guys want to put it on MLS or auction. Legislator Nasarino.
I think we spoke about this at great length, and at first I thought MLS would be the better route to go, but I think either or, basically. We have a ready, willing, able buyer, but we're trying to see if we could get a little bit more, and if we can, then we're doing our due diligence, so it's really just about that, so we'll see where it goes.
Okay. Anyone else? Yaki?
I think we should do auction.
Okay. And if we did auction, I mean, do we have a date set in mind as to when this auction would take place, as you guys have been speaking to?
I could probably reach out, I mean, I think we'd have to get.
Is it 30
resolution.
days out, is it 90 da's out, once it's passed, or if the resolution is
If
passed?
the resolution is passed, I think that we could do it immediately, after it's been passed. I can get that answer for you.
Within 30 days.
Yes.
I just want to make sure they have every opportunity to find as many interested buyers as possible, and hopefully we'll get a
But they're gonna have to do their, they're gonna have to also do their due diligence by, making everyone aware, just like they did for the auction. They put it in different types of publications and,
Through the chair, there needs to be some exposure to the marketplace, and you need to give the auction house some time to get the word out there so that we can hopefully, entice multiple bidders to be interested.
I mean, if this gets passed, for the September fall, I don't see why we couldn't start doing the auction sometime maybe in early to mid-October, But again, I would defer to the auctioneer on that, on their professional expertise.
I guess the next thing we should speak about then, as a legislators or committee, is setting the amount. I know the 320 was floated out there, but that was before we realized that we weren't going to encumber the fees. Any thoughts from the administration, I guess, as to how much we could put this property up for?
You could set a reserve, a starting price at the appraised, and hopefully there's competitive bidding.
Any questions or comments?
I just have a question. Didn't we put it up to 320 just to incorporate any expenses we might incur?
We thought there was going to be the 7%, that's where the 3.
Yeah, the 7% is absorbed by the buyer.
Oh, okay.
So the buyer's going to have to take care of that, so we don't have to include that if we're going to go the auction route.
And the transfer tax and the deed and all the other.
Everything's on them.
Yep.
And we could potentially set the minimum at 290.
90, yep,
And
as the
in hopes
reserve.
that there's more than one interested buyer. How would, I'm going to ask it.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out, is the auction like a sealed bid? Or would there actually be like?
No, I mean, to my knowledge, I think it would be the same way as what we just did for the 14-15. There would be the publication, it would be advertised, it would be on the specific date, specific time, it would close, and then we'd get the results.
If I may, the auction, when one bidder puts in a number, it's visible to all the other bidders. So it's
Yes.
similar to what eBay does.
Correct. And it timestamps it too, just like.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Any suggestions? Should we just go with the 290,000? Anybody have any opposing?
That's a starting bid.
That's a starting bid.
This is starting.
Yeah,
Does
we
any
have.
wording need to be changed?
I don't think we have any wording for that just yet. I was going to ask Rob, do we have to include that somewhere?
As amended previously, the current resolution before the committee allows the county executive to set the initial offer based on the appraisal and comparative market analysis, and then with the advice and approval of the legislature, which is a two-step process. If this is passed, then presumably, if I'm interpreting it correctly, the county executive would go back to the legislature with a proposed starting price, and then the legislature would have to pass another resolution to approve it. If you wanted to make it a one-step process, you would put an amount, set the initial offer in the penultimate resolve clause, and however you want to go from there. But if you said it initially, then it short-circuits
So the county
process.
The county executive has to at least give us an offer as to what he thinks it could be sold for.
That's the way it's currently
Yep.
drafted.
I would like to speed this along, and if legislative council would give the deletions and the others change so we could put this out at 290, I'd like to get this thing moving along.
Well, does the Commissioner of Finance have the authority to speak on behalf of the county executive on the
The
amount?
resolution that came through physical indicated at appraised value.
Okay. So if that was the case, I think we can move it forward with the appraised value of 290,000, and that's what we're approving tonight.
But we have to change that. Property shall be hereinafter determined by the Putnam County Legislature based on the appraised value and competitive market analysis.
Well, I gotta say, I don't want to short circuit the county executive.
Okay.
But is there any way, I'm gonna lean on legislative counsel on this, that, since this is going to the full a week away from now, if we can, ask the, county executive or the commissioner of finance, for that matter, to give us, their analysis of what they should sell for, if it is the, $290,000, appraised value that we already received, I'm fine with that. But can that be determined prior to the full? And then we can make a motion to add it, I guess. I'd like to see this move along as quickly as possible. I don't think there's
Same.
any objection to selling the property.
I think your question, I think I can answer your question by saying if the committee asks the administration for their recommendation for a starting price, at the full, the resolution can be amended to state that the initial offer amount shall be set at X dollars based upon the recommendation of the administration and the appraisal and comparative market analysis, something along those lines. So sure, it could be amended based on the input from the county executive. You would short circuit the approval process by asking for that figure before the full.
Okay.
I mean, the due diligence was done by doing the appraisal, so.
Okay. So, that being said, I'm going to make a motion to move this to the full with the resolve, the final paragraph to include, upon the county executive determining the appropriate price to sell the property and approval of the legislature.
If I may, friendly amendment.
Sure.
The county executive recommended auction starting price.
So you'll make that motion to amend it to include that the county executive will set the price.
Recommended starting price.
Recommended starting price. And then we will vote on it. And we would like to have that information prior to the full, so if we could have it, and we'll send a memo out tomorrow, I'm sure.
Okay.
By Friday this week, because it is Labor Day weekend, and we'll be meeting on Tuesday. Make sense to everybody?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Legislator Goulman. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry. Yes.
If you'd like, if it could be by Thursday, that's when the agenda goes out, so it could be in its
Even better.
final format.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just a matter of bringing it to his attention. I'm forgetting, for some reason I thought today was Tuesday, but
Unless.
today's Monday, so.
Or
I thought the meeting was tomorrow.
Or can they make a motion before Monday? In concept.
I'm unclear as to what the amendment is.
Okay, so, not to delay this process anymore, because I guess we did not get notification from the county executive as to what the amount should be, the offer price. I think we're in agreement that we want to do it by auction, which I think this resolution speaks to. We want to approve what the county executive, we believe it should be at least $290,000. I believe, I should say that. Everybody has a vote, right? So, waiting for the county executive to give us the official asking price, we need to include that in that resolve clause so we can have it for the full next week. So, Rob, I'll lean on you if you can take whatever I just said and put it into words for everybody. It's certainly to the.
Here's one, I don't know if I'm going to capture everyone on the committee's intention, but from what I heard you just say, I think you could say, resolve that pursuant to section 31-4 of the Putnam County Code, the initial offer amount of the property shall be set by the county, it shall be hereinafter determined by the Putnam County Executive in an amount not less than $290,000 based on the appraisal and comparative market analysis and with the advice and recommendation of the legislature.
And can you include in there that the amount should be told to, sent to us prior to the full, if we can get it by Thursday? Or does that not necessarily?
Well, if it's the committee's intent, the legislature's intent that it be more than $290,000, that category would cover it. If the legislature wants to know what it is and approve it, then we would have to have different language. We would have to say that the initial offer amount shall be blank dollars as determined by the county executive and approved by the legislature.
So no less than 290, and we'll wait for the county executive to...
His confirmation.
His confirmation.
However you want to proceed. If you want to put in the exact amount, or you want to put in like not less than 290.
Well, I kind of think like we need to be, he needs, I feel like we might want to just sell it for 290, or at least start the process at 290. And if he comes in and says, I want to start it at 350, then we're going to go back to a debate as to whether we should start it at 290 or 350.
The real question is, what's the reserve? What's
That's
the county executive?
290 is the starting price.
Correct,
That is the reserve.
correct.
All right, let me make sure I understand this one more time myself then. You can't speak for the county executive tonight, I guess, so we're going to send a memo out tomorrow to get the number by Thursday, but with the way Rob just worded it for us, I think that would be okay. I think the legislature's intent is 290 is a great starting point. We'll wait to hear from the county executive if he's got other thoughts. We don't want to be less than 290.
Correct.
And we'll send him a memo tomorrow, hopefully get an answer from the county executive by Thursday this week, and we'll have this ready for next Tuesday. So with Rob's recommendation on changing that paragraph, I'm going to make a motion to move this to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 12 is a discussion for amendments for the deposit and investment policy. I guess you want to speak to this, Mike?
Yes. So since I've been here, November of '21, I think I've brought forth at least 2 or 3 changes to this investment policy. And the reason being is because obviously the economy has boomed. We've gotten a lot of sales tax. We have 3+1. That's our investment consultant, if you want to say, or cash management consultant. I mean, just looking at the numbers, audited numbers, when I came on board at the end of '21, there was between cash and investments, there was about 75 million. It then in 2022 went to 115 million. The draft report that I have for 2023, our cash position is shy of 149 million. And as of July 31st, the investments alone are about 170 million, not including our cash. So what this does is give us more flexibility to invest in other products. It's been recommended by 3+1, where they would like us to, bring forth to the legislature to, potentially recommend updating this policy, giving, finance, my team, the ability to, invest. For example, when Legislator Elmer, the last time we presented a memo, he had mentioned that one of the caps, which was $50 million for New York Muni Trust, there was $53 million because the interest is just, is just going really, really fast. And what we had to do was we had to take that $3 million out of there to be, to adhere to this policy. But then I had to put it in a different investment pool that wasn't earning as much interest, which is obviously, that sounds foolish. So I'm just making some recommendations for now to increase some of these levels from the 50 million to 75 million, just to give us some latitude to put in different numbers. Actually, the investment policy for other counties has even more broad flexibility. They don't even have limitations on, on these depositories or these investment pools. So, but to keep common practice, I think, we should at least have some type of limit on these investment pools.
It's good that we have limits, because if you remember, I don't remember the timeline, 2 years ago maybe, when banks had a major issue, and we had some money in a bank, and if we had no limits, we could have had a much bigger exposure than we had. Lucky enough, we didn't lose any money during that time frame.
Right, that was Signature Bank. Yep.
We got it all back.
So what's next? You're going to have to present this to us next month to change the amounts?
Well, so for the discussion, we made some changes. I mean, I'm assuming that the Legislative Council would want to look at this, the county attorney would want to look at this to make sure that this is appropriate. But a lot of these changes that are in blue are, industry standard, and the numbers are just, they're our internal analysis that we wanted to present to you.
So, Elmer?
Basically, what I say is across the board for all the depository entities, you want to now increase the maximum amount to 75 million for
Correct.
all of them.
Correct.
Okay.
I have no objections whatsoever. I want to make sure we're following proper protocol at this point. To make this change, Rob, this would have to go back to committee next month, I assume, with a proposed resolution or
Yes.
local law?
They changed the individual sections, not the whole thing.
All right, so,
I'm for this in concept.
yep. So we'll get it in front of Legislative Sage.
Just to be clear, that $75 million invested in each of these banks is not over and above their insurance, the FDIC insurance.
Well, they have, they
How far?
have collateral.
But they will insure you up to, what, $100 million? I mean, I just want to make sure if something happens that these funds are safeguarded.
No,
I mean,
they
what
are.
is a safeguard by the banks if, God forbid, something should happen?
If I may, Chairman?
Yep.
The FDIC limits are
Like for
only-
individuals, like 100,000?
That's what I'm saying, is
Yeah, that's
that
what-
FDIC is
that's what
going to
250,000.
250,000, yeah, so that's why I'm wondering, is there any insurance or
But
any?
there's also collateral. There's collateral on this money as well.
There's collateral, okay, so we would not be in any jeopardy of something happening and.
Okay. So with that, I guess we'll have it on the agenda next month with a proposed resolution to amend this. And I think we're in concept, we're in complete agreement with you. All right, that was item number 12, unless anybody has anything else to add to it. Moving on to item number 13, it's an FYI, the 2024 guardrail and property damage report table. Just an FYI, again, thank you, Mr. Bruno, for continuing to research this and his extraordinary efforts on it. Questions or comments? And that was just an FYI. All right. Moving on to item number 14, other business. I'd like to make a motion to add fund transfer, 24T255 for the Sheriff's Department, on for other business. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. If the sheriff would like to, or Mike, if you want to give us the overview of what we have in front of us?
You're doing so well.
Class participation.
Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
What we're looking to do is utilize grant funding under the Threat Assessment Management Program, Executive Order 18 of 2023, to fund 2 part-time TAM analyst positions. Individuals, as spelled out in the job description that we worked with personnel on, that are capable of reviewing and analyzing the threat assessments that come into us. We've received over 46 just in the time that we enacted our policy to the end of the school year this year, which was June. And it prohibited us from actually sitting down and doing an adequate threat assessment and analysis of the threats, other than to just manage them day to day. And there were many that were carried out longer term over the course of months, if not several months. So we want to be able to fund, utilizing that money, and it was approved by Albany, by the threat assessment fund manager, to fund these two positions. So we'll have two part-time people, and we'll be able to work them opposite of each other and spread them out over a 6 or 7 day period, and utilize the funds to achieve that analysis that is necessary.
And that'll cover us to the end of this year?
That will cover us to the end of next year.
And to the end of next year. Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay. I certainly think it's a great, it's zero fiscal impact. We're moving some money around to cover the costs. Won't affect our budget, which is a great job by the Sheriff's Department right there. I'm all in favor. Is there any other discussion? I'll make a motion to move it to the full.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Being that there's no other business, sorry.
If I may, Chairman, Mr. Lewis, Commissioner Lewis, there was a memo that finally came from the Law Department regarding sale of a property, the contiguous property we refer to as the infamous Lot 5.
Yes.
Do you have that here, and is it possible to take care of that during other business, or do we need to wait till physical in order to approve that?
I don't have that in
You
mind.
don't have it? Never
It was
mind.
already taken care of.
Was it not already resolved?
No, we didn't have a resolution, so I
I don't
wanted...
think we needed one. So we're going by the rules of the auction.
Right, but
right.
the legislature has to approve the results of the auction, so there was a resolution I was hoping we could vote on it now.
Well, we'll look into it for sure. Okay. All right, being any other business, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.